Hello everyone and welcome back to ASipOfCoco. My name is TCK, Tick, and I'm here with Daea
Hey guys.
and BeefCake.
Hello.
Alright boys, how's it going?
It's been going pretty good, man. Recently, I've been reading up on something called a little thing called cryofreeze. But you can get into that a little bit later. How about you? Yeah, how you doing, bro?
To be honest, it's going pretty well. And cryofreeze, huh? I mean, I've heard about it. Looked into it a bit myself, like back in my gaming days. But we'll go ahead and dive into that.
Alright, yeah. Take it away.
All right. Well, I recently, I got interested in cryofreeze after watching after watching Alien versus Predator. So one of the ways they travel there is using cryofreeze, because I guess in that universe, and just like ours, people can't live very long and can't handle space travel because it takes way too long. So they go into a cryofreeze, last out like the 30-year trip that they're doing, so that they're not old and wrinkly by the time they get there, right, and not be able to do their job. So because of that, I started reading up on it, and I came across a little company, well, actually quite a big company called Alcor. You guys heard of Alcor before?
Not too much, but go ahead and dive into it, man. Let me see what you got.
All right. Well, Alcor, I would say, is basically a company that's doing cryofreeze, and they have successfully frozen people. Thing is, I read up on it, and the procedures in there is kind of weird. Definitely not something I would have thought about. So, I guess the main purpose for them is about preserving life for like people who are like have chronic conditions, or who are dying, and their hope pretty much is to freeze somebody and revive them in the future, when there's more advanced technology and medical practices to be able to save them and heal them. The only thing is that when I read up on the whole procedure thing, the person's already is like clinically dead when they start to freeze somebody.
So it's like a funeral service?
I mean, I guess so, yeah. I guess you could call it that. Because, I mean, from what I read up on there, that's basically it. I mean, they wait until, they wait about a week before they actually start the process, which is as soon as, the person who's going to die passes on, with the cardiac arrest. And apparently, like, immediately after the person is clinically dead, or legally dead, they immediately go and take him to their their building or whatever. And the weirdest thing about it is that their blood is replaced with an organ preservation solution. So their blood just gets completely replaced.
By what? What is it?
It's an organ preservation solution.
Okay, so they don't tell you what it is.
Yeah, they don't really say the exact word what it is, but all I know is that it's apparently supposed to keep their body from running away. So after they're like cooled down in like an ice bath and all that, they get taken to the operating room, the company operating room.
All right, let's start from the beginning. So let's say I want to be cryogenically frozen. Do I have to like what are the conditions that they're accepting right now? Or like is there a certain demographic that they're looking at?
So from what I was seeing, you can even if you're not have a clinical condition or something like that, you can buy yourself way into the cryofreeze thing. It's $50 a month for each person, and apparently they also have life insurance too.
So you need to have life insurance, or it provides life insurance?
It provides life insurance for up to $250,000.
By the way, we're not
Yeah,
sponsored
wow.
by Alcor.
Yeah. We're not sponsored by Upwork. It's just something I read up.
All right, so let's say so I want to be cryogenically frozen, or let's say I'm about to die. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the process from there? Let's say I die.
Okay.
What happens then?
So the moment you would die, you would get taken to I would say like their operating room over there in Alcor, and the first thing they would do would be to replace your blood with an organ preservation solution.
Okay.
What that exactly is, I don't know. But while they're doing that, they cool your body in an ice water bath. After that, they start to put cryoprotectants into the person. So it's just kind of like the main issue before with freezing somebody is that whenever you freeze blood, it crystallizes. Meaning it would ruin all the veins and all that, causing a lot of damage. What exactly it would do, I'm pretty sure it would kill somebody, but don't take my word, or take my word with a grain of salt.
Okay.
In any case,
I mean, at that point, I feel like if you're basically freezing, I mean, yeah, of course, the main reason why you don't want the blood to freeze is because it entered like a state of what is it? Basically, like advanced hypothermia, right?
well, the issue with that would be is that like the person that's that they're doing that on is clinically dead.
No,
So
yeah, of course, but I'm
at that,
saying
yeah, that would
if they're
be,
trying to keep the body alive, I mean that's what I would see it as.
and
Is
that's what the cryoprotectants are put in there for, to and the organ preservation solution. It's so that your body won't, I would say, go into hypothermia. Because the cause of hypothermia is, your cells and all that dying because of how cold it is.
Mm-hmm.
But the
right.
cryoprotectants would stop that, and to keep it from freezing. Because the whole like black part of hypothermia is, remember how I said whenever blood gets super cold it crystallizes.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's the thing that kills the cells, because they kind of explode
No,
from the
yeah,
inside. Because
yeah, it's your blood vessels and your capillaries starting to freeze over. Right.
yep, and they would replace all your blood with cryoprotectants,
Okay.
I see. I
and
see.
that would reduce and even stop the freezing entirely. Yeah, if
Okay. So it's like a layer. Let's say a layer of ice. So technically you're not frozen, but like, or is it freezing you technically, or is it just creating like a layer in between everything?
it's more like cooling down, or like freezing it right before, like not entirely frozen, but like cooling it down to very low temperature.
Okay. Where it's not technically frozen, but you're still.
Yeah, where it like slows it down, uh, the whole like.
The best way I could see it is basically it's like a frost sheet. Like it's not entirely complete like solid ice. It's basically like advanced frost, just protecting like the outer layer.
So
Wouldn't
once,
it be
yeah,
something similar
yeah,
to that?
it would keep it from it would keep like any biological tissue from freezing completely, which would probably cause hypothermia and all that.
Yeah.
But the cryoprotectants are like put into the bloodstream, so like all your organs and all that are protected from completely freezing over, or just entirely protected from freezing at all.
Okay.
And that's the that would that's the main problem about freezing somebody. It would cause damage to the blood vessels, the brain, and the organs, all that, because of how it freezes over, it crystallize. Blood would crystallize and poke holes and all that.
Yeah.
But with all that, they would get cooled down to pretty cold, like actually frozen at a negative 96 degrees Celsius.
Whoa.
So they're like straight up like frozen solid,
But they're preserved. Their
but they're
organs are
preserved. Yeah,
preserved, right? They're just
yeah.
frozen solid. Okay, I see.
So that whole thing that right there is called vitrification, which is what some hospitals do to preserve organs and all that without it actually without hurting it. So usually, if you like were to like freeze something like an organ or something like that, it would cause irreversible damage to the whatever organ you're freezing. But with the vitrified kidney, which is basically just cryoprotectants being put into the organ or kidney or whatever, to keep it from freezing over. But it does get cold to the point where it gets frozen solid. It's kind of weird, kind of like it's like sort of solid, but sort of not.
I see.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's like no ice would be formed on top of the kidney, or on top of the kidney or organ that you're freezing.
Okay. Okay. So in that case, so for instance, I said I just checked a little bit on their website as well.
Mhm.
So they were saying that for instance, if you wanted to do a cryopreservation on your brain, you'd be able to add a layer to protect any after effects from someone's brain.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay.
It was pretty much like once it's frozen solid like that, with the cryopreserves like inside of it, it'll keep it from ice forming on top of it inside the brain, and keep it basically in pristine condition at the moment that you freeze it.
I see.
That right there
I see.
it basically stops it stops it from deteriorating anymore from the point that it's frozen.
Right.
Once it's like frozen, or once the person is like frozen at that point, they're basically ready to be frozen for a couple of years and more, like up to like thousands of years, theoretically, is what they say.
Theoretically,
But at that,
so
yeah,
I guess
but
yeah, okay.
At that point, the whole dying process has stopped.
Theoretically, right? Because
Yeah,
I mean, it hasn't been 1,000 years to test this, so.
Yeah, no, theoretically 1,000 years. I would be more in like decades maybe.
All right.
But yeah, the long term, like at the later stage while you're being frozen, they're basically you're stored into a metal insulated, like let's say tiwar. I don't know what that is. I would imagine it's just like some like big old tube where the person's being kept frozen at really really cold temperatures using liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, probably like some kind of like ice box, an advanced ice box.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like just
exactly.
filled with liquid nitrogen then.
Yeah, it's like an ice box but with liquid nitrogen. But yeah, at that point, probably the weirdest part about it though is that there's no way to, like, at this point in time, it says there's no way to revive a cryopreserved patient. They say that they have confidence that revival may be possible in the future using nanotechnology and future medical technologies. So, what do you think about that? Do you think you'd be down to be cryofrozen? Because at this point,
See,
they don't even know if they can revive somebody from being cryofrozen.
yeah, see, but at the moment, as we were stating, is they currently at the moment it's just nothing but the only people that basically can apply for this at the moment are people who have some type of like I want to say what
Terminal
more
illness.
terminal
Chronic illness.
illnesses and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, terminal illness. Yeah.
So essentially, like I mean, at this point, that's their main thing is to see if these people are already legally dead, right?
Yeah.
I think that the only reason that they would still want to be frozen even after they've passed is to be able to use their bodies for science in ways so like advanced technology maybe in the future they could possibly find a cure for like some types of cancer, see if it works, stuff like that. So at the moment, I don't think I would. If it was more advanced in the sense of like it being like the technology being advanced to be able to actually revive someone, not freeze them like once they're already legally dead. So be
I
able to
get it.
just freeze them and then revive them, right?
Yeah.
Then maybe, but with the current technology that we have at the moment, probably not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, personally, from my standpoint, it kind of just looks like a big if. You might,
Right.
yeah, you might be revived in the future if you do go down like the entire preservation that Alcor provides, but you might not. Is the thing.
Yeah.
Right. And then my other problem with that would be, I mean, each person is different. I don't think they're gonna find a viable solution that's gonna be, that would work entirely for every person. You know what I mean? Like, let's say that in the future they do have a thing where, someone can be revived in 5 years. Like, but let's say there's two patients, patient A and patient B, right? So what's to say that patient B doesn't actually, make it all the way to the 5 years, and they end up actually dying between that timeline.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like you said, it's just a big if.
Yeah, and also you have to take into account the actual cryopreservation process too, right? So, does this actually work? Like, how do we know this is actually working? Yeah, we understand that you're technically preserved, but once it hits that point where, hey, we got this cure and now you could be revived and stuff, how do we know that this cryopreservation process actually cryopreserved you. I guess it's
Yeah,
tested with animals, or like, have they done any testing? Do you know?
not that I know of, or not that I've seen. And I mean, if they haven't done any testing on like other animals, I don't know, man.
Hmm.
I feel like it'd be very
I feel like they
very
probably
iffy.
have then, right?
Yeah, I would assume so. There's no way they would be able to move into like freezing people without the right trials.
Yeah, but you also never know. There's a lot of shady companies out there, and I'm not saying Alcor is shady. I'm not saying that Alcor is doing anything that is illegal. I'm just saying that I personally lean a little bit more proof, um, and maybe some technical documents, maybe some research studies, stuff like that. That'd be awesome to see on their website if they have any. Let me check. Because I know I was looking at their ideal procedure, right? And that's what you were going over.
Yeah.
And yeah, this looks awesome. But at the end, it does get to the point where it just says the future. And it just says that they're basically, what it says is that they're relying on future technology to revive you and to keep you alive after the revival process, right? So they're not
Right,
really
and
promising anything aside from the actual cryogenic procedure, the cryopreservation.
right, and see, the thing is, like, in all honesty, it would be very, it'd be really awesome if we can actually perfect this, right? Like you've always, as said, you always hear about it. Like it's a good subject for science fiction and movies, video games, and whatnot, right?
Yeah, it
It's
always comes.
it always pops up. So I mean, it would be a cool concept to have. But as Tick stated, we do need more proof that even if you don't complete, like let's say get a patient that's said you know set amount of time, we still want to see more research about it.
Yeah, I agree. So what I do, another question that I'd like to ask them is, well, I guess they would just put it onto that whole revival future technology process. But I was gonna say, how would you restore memory? Because technically, memory is, or like human memory, right? All your memories, it's just sorry, electricity running through neurons and stuff inside of your brain, making connections,
Yeah.
and forming those memories. Those connections are the memories. At least I think that's how it works. Of course, I'm not a dummy, but um, how would you ensure that these patients get revived and that they now have their memory, that they have those same connections going the same way, and that there's no neurological damage being done, during this process?
So while you were asking that question, I looked up a little bit more in Alcor to see if they had done testing on animals,
Yeah.
and it turns out they have.
Okay.
And the first one that they had done was in 1984, where they had frozen a dog called Star for 2 months. Actually, yeah, for 2 months, and after being like resuscitated, I guess they did bring him back. After 4 hours of a bloodless perfusion at -4 degrees, he made a comeback with a full recovery, including as far as it could be ascertained, full memory and personality.
Wow. Okay. See, now that is a bit more. I wouldn't say trustworthy, but that's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, and I mean, when I was thinking about that, your brain wouldn't really be affected if they're immediately frozen, because it is like connections that your synapses make, right?
Yeah.
So as long as there's like no time for it to be deteriorated, like your brain yourself to deteriorate, I think you'd be fine. But then again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Me neither. All I know is that I don't think cold temperatures are good for anything in your brain. Like the brain is
See,
a
yeah, I was gonna say that my main issue would be, of course, it might have worked out for a dog, but
yeah.
as we know, for humans, once we reach a certain body temperature, whether it be be it heat or cold, your brain starts to go into paralysis state to try to protect itself, right?
Yeah, goes into shock.
But once you reach, yeah, it goes into shock. So once you reach a slow enough temperature, then I mean, as stated, you're starting to develop problems with it. Like, what is it? A person who's already going into cardiac arrest, for instance, or for instance, a lack of oxygen to the brain and such, right? We start to see problems where people basically, just the brain functionality is, going lower and lower at this point. Like, you could end up becoming essentially, what is it? You just could, even if you have the possibility of being resuscitated, right? You could have some form of disability that comes along with it if you do end up getting resuscitated, and that's only of a short period of time. Like, let's say, I want to say, like, what, if you're gone, I want to say like 5 minutes, go up to 7 minutes, 10 minutes, then at that point you're just losing functionality quicker and
So
quicker, right?
about that, I'm reading something in there that they have something called the Mobile Advanced Life Support System, but they renamed it to the Mobile Advanced Rescue Cart, or MARA. In any case, it's basically it's like a gurney that's made for maintaining circulation and oxygenation while transporting a patient.
Okay, so
So I assume that they would also have that on while well the reason they have that on is so that, like you said, if like the brain doesn't get any oxygen, it starts to die pretty much.
yeah, there's damage to the brain.
Yeah, that would help to keep it from deteriorating any further than it has already at that point.
So yeah, but the thing is, that's just getting it to, or trying to get it to the preservation state, right?
Mhm.
It's not really the preservation itself. But what you say is that they're constantly feeding the brain oxygen, or does it not need oxygen once it's cryopreserved?
It does not need oxygen while it's cryopreserved,
Okay.
and they are constantly feeding the body oxygen while they're transporting it to the what they call the company's operation place.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we understand that. Okay, so they're trying to keep it, technically they're trying to keep it as preserved as they can, without hurting it before the cryopreservation.
So I also read up here that they did some tests involving the brains of a cat by freezing it and unfreezing it the same way that they would with the dog.
Okay.
And what they saw is like the main parts and like the fine parts ended up being completely fine, but I lost my train of thought.
that the main parts of the brain were completely fine, but
Yeah. So that they it's basically like where like the real fine parts, like the memory or something like that, they can't be sure.
okay.
Like in the event with the whole dog too, they can't. As far as they know, the main personality and all that had been altered, but the brain of a human is a lot more complex compared to the brain of a dog.
Yeah, see, that'd be my issue. My issue still at the point is, since there is no, I mean, legally binding, there can't be, some actual, perfectly healthy humans, because that'd be unethical, right?
Unless you participate willingly.
So yeah, unless you're willing to participate. But at this point, there's just no telling. There's just no telling. That's my only issue.
For me,
Apart from it, it would be a cool thing to do.
would you do it then?
I mean,
Like let's say you're
you know
about to
what?
die. You know you're about to die. You know you're about to die. Okay. Would you cryogenically preserve yourself?
If I'm at that point, you know what? Why not?
You would?
Yes.
What about your beefcake?
But as like a healthy, body and mind right now, probably not. But if I was in that state, yeah, I'd probably do it.
Yeah, same here, bro. I totally would. There's an off chance in the future that you could be revived and cured of whatever illness is killing you.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd take the chance, even if it might not be successful, and I may end up just freezing myself for a couple of years, for a couple of decades, and just to not be revived at all. That'd kind of suck, but it's not like I'd be alive to tell them.
Yeah. I think I'd do it as well. Because I mean, you're dead. I mean, what's the point, right? you're kind of waiting for that that singularity, right, to hit, where it's like
Yep.
the perfect time to come out, right, and the perfect time to cure yourself of any disease that you were suffering from. So, and if it doesn't work, well, it doesn't matter because you're dead anyways. So, yeah, I'd do it as well.
And just to add something on top of here, they apparently have 181 patients right now.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so a lot of people took that chance.
Yeah. The funny thing is I was reading through their page, right, and
Yeah.
it says that their cryogenic center, it's located in Arizona. It's just kind of funny because Arizona is probably one of the hottest states in the U.S. And putting a cryogenic center in Arizona, I don't know if that's the best idea, but it's it's interesting. An interesting state to choose from all the other states to choose from.
That is pretty funny. Trying to freeze somebody in the desert, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, deserts can get super cold, but I believe that heat outweighs.
Well, this is does it tell you what city is in? I think I just saw Arizona. So
Yeah, it just says Arizona.
to be honest, it could be like somewhere up in Flagstaff and it could be totally fine, but like if it's southern Arizona, you're kind of gonna have some problems there. That electrical bill must be pretty high.
It's apparently in Scottsdale.
Scottsdale?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Jeez, that's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, they choose a really hot spot.
Yeah, it's like right next to Phoenix. Well, that's pretty cool. You know what, Alcor? Good on you for trying something to the where
Indeed, yeah.
like you're actually trying to advance human. What do you even call this? Human preservation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Human preservation.
So that's pretty cool. Keep at it, Alcor. Hopefully you're not a scam, scamming people. I'm not saying you're a scam.
So
I'm just saying that hopefully
apparently,
you're not a scam.
I just gotta say for that. Apparently, the founder of Alcor believed in it so much that he froze himself. He's cryopreserved at Alcor.
Oh.
Really?
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So his wife apparently still works there too.
That must
Good
be
on them.
that must be pretty
Good on
awkward,
them.
but yeah, that's pretty cool. Damn.
Yeah, man.
And honestly, I mean, that just shows the dedication that they're trying to do for it. Then, if the actual founder himself decides to preserve himself, I mean, hey, man.
Yeah,
It
actually,
means
you're
Good
right.
on you.
he believes in it himself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, even if at this point in time we don't know whether or not it's really working, I still gotta say it's pretty dang cool though. Pretty cool.
It is. So actually, I found why they're located in Scottsdale, and this is actually pretty smart for from Alcor. So I found finding out that they're in Scottsdale slash Phoenix, the Phoenix metropolitan area, because it's considered a really low risk natural disaster area. And when you think about it, it's true. I mean, other than heat waves, you're not really affected by blizzards, you're not affected by hurricanes, you're not affected by tornadoes, maybe minor earthquakes, but nothing catastrophic. So
I see. Oh, in
that's
that case, well,
yeah.
I mean, that's shit really good.
Yeah, that's why they're there. So and that's the whole, keeping everything safe inside of their environment. And I guess since they're already which I kind of just thought about, since they're already cooling down, it's a crowd preservation, company.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be cool already, so they don't really have to worry about. That's the only thing they have to worry about. It's keeping it cool. So, I mean, it's kind of weird that it's still in one of the hottest states in the world. I mean, not in the world, in the United States. But it's pretty smart on the low disaster risk.
Yeah. And I mean, the way they keep stuff frozen isn't even using electricity. They just once this like frozen, like cryogenically frozen, they just keep it cool with liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, but I'm sure they still have to power
Oh
some
yeah.
stuff in there, right? Like
Yeah, actually, yeah.
pumps and stuff to pump in the liquid nitrogen and keep it circulated.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, look, they got their business going. It's great. Keep at it, Alcor. It's great. I'm sure they will listen to this. I'm sure the CEO will totally listen to this podcast.
Oh yeah, he'll give us a comment too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
By the way, we're not sponsored by Alcor. Again, we are not sponsored by Alcor. Talking about experiments, BeefCake actually brought up something the other day, and I didn't know about this, but it's a experiment known as the Philadelphia experiment. And basically, what this entails is a United States, was it battleship destroyer?
Yes, it was a battleship.
Battleship. Okay.
No, it's a destroyer.
Destroyer. Okay.
Yeah.
Known or called the USS Eldridge. So it's a USS destroyer, or USS Eldridge is the name of the ship. And this is an experiment that took place somewhere. No, we don't really know because, of course, it's a military experiment. So even if it was real or not real, we don't really know, right?
So they said apparently sometime around October 28th in 1943 is where it reportedly happened.
Ah, okay. So I actually have a conflicting date then. I have October 24th, which I guess it doesn't really matter. It's like 4 days in between, right? But
Yeah.
it was somewhere in October the 20th, 1943, okay? And basically what this experiment was, it was an experiment to test electromagnetic fields to basically render the ship invisible to mines and torpedoes, right?
Yep, and radar.
And radar, yeah. So basically to keep the ship quote unquote invisible, okay.
Mm.
And what was supposed, or at least the results of the experiment, supposedly what happened was that not only did it make the ship go back in time, but it also caused irreversible damage to the crew. And this irreversible damage consisted of some of the crew going insane, some of the crew being terminally ill, and some of the crew apparently merged into the ship itself. Now, when I say merged into the ship itself, I mean crewmates were found halfway into walls, halfway into the floor decks, and it was just horrible, for better words.
So basically, they were melded to
Melded, yes, that's the word. Yep, they were melded to just anything on the ship. Now, this is a very strange experiment because it's a military experiment. Usually these are documented, and the only document that I could find was a Navy, what would you say, a Navy report on not the actual experiment itself, but they're talking about this conspiracy that was brought up, right, for the actual experiment. Thank you to the Black Vault for providing this and using that beautiful Freedom of Information Act to pull this out of the government's hands. Basically, what the Navy says is that they have no records of this experiment actually happening. Okay, this is coming from the Navy itself, which in the story, right, in the Philadelphia experiment story, the Navy was the one testing this. So, what do you guys think about this?
I mean, it's totally not like government hides stuff from us.
That is true.
Yeah, it's totally no way that the U.S. Navy would lie to the general public, or the government would lie to the general public. No way.
No, of course not. Of course not. So, do you think they're lying? Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, totally.
You think the Philadelphia experiment actually happened?
Maybe I would say yeah, to be honest, because it's not just like one or two people. It was like a lot of people in the port that reportedly saw it.
Yeah, but okay. So this is another part of the story. So while this was happening, there was people looking from the port, and they said that they reported not only did the ship go invisible, technically invisible, but there was also greenish fog emanating around the ship. or around the location of the ship. The thing is about these eyewitness accounts is that they're nowhere to be found anymore. I was not able to find any actual like eyewitness accounts. I mean, yes, it says that there were eyewitness accounts, but you'd think that there'd be some kind of proof or something.
Yeah.
Like I just, and also this is 1943, so there's little to no way of proving whether this stuff was real or not, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally don't think it's real, and I'll tell you why after you try to convince me that it is.
Right. Okay. Well.
Okay, go for it. Because you believe it's real. Daea, do you believe it's real?
To be honest, man, truth be told, I don't really have a comment for it.
You don't have a comment. Oh.
As said, like the most part, like I want to hear both sides to this. To be honest, that's my thing.
All right, so we're trying to convince Daea into thinking whether this is real or not.
Okay.
How about that? Okay. All right, go for it. Go for it. The defense is about to talk, Your Honor.
Well, really, pretty much the only real like proof I would say is from a reporter that's called Miguel Allende. So, I mean, he's apparently like made some like books about UFOs. So right then and there, you know, yeah, I could see right then and there somebody not listening to his word at all. Actually, what really he claimed was that he saw it disappear. That's really about it, and that actually that he was then contacted by the Navy's office, or the Navy Office of Naval Research, who were basically like okay, so
man, them winter connections, am I right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
It's too slow. It's too slow.
Well, as I was previously saying before the technical difficulties, so really the one really piece of proof that I could find was from the Black Vault that Tick had brought up before. So they like right here from reading it, the Navy's basically been questioned about the Philadelphia experiment a lot. I mean a lot. And
that is to be expected.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the people who had seen it was Miguel Allende, but you know I wouldn't really call his word very credible.
Okay.
Bro, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Your Honor, he's stumbling. He's stumbling, Your Honor. All right, how about we move it to the offensive? How about that?
Yeah.
All right.
Proceed.
Your Honor, I have a full-on case on this guy. So, first of all...
You may proceed.
First of all, Mr. Allende, the reporter that had reached out to this, basically, Mr. Morris K. Jessup.
Okay.
Mr. Allende was actually a firm believer of electromagnetism and gravity were intertwined. So one would directly affect the other. Okay? This is not proven to be true. So this theory that Albert Einstein had basically created is not true. This man believed in this, and that's why he said that electromagnetism on this naval ship. Aside from that, Allende knew that he wouldn't be taken seriously, so he actually changed his name. Okay, he changed his name before sending this to Mr. Jessup. All right.
Oh, I see.
Just to hide it, just to hide that his name was Carlos Allende. All right.
All right.
Okay. Now here's something that's gonna blow your mind, Your Honor. First of all, this ship wasn't even at the place where the story says it was. All right. This ship was actually at a different port. I can't remember what port it was, but it was at a different port when this happened. So technically, the USS Eldridge was actually, I'm trying to look this up right now. It was in New York City. Okay? It was actually in New York City and not at the Philadelphia naval shipport or shipyard. Okay? The USS Eldridge actually was not commissioned until August 27th, 1943, Your Honor. And it remained in
Consider me
port
blown.
in New York City until September 1943. Okay? Now, I know that this actually happened in October, which is 2 months after it was commissioned. Okay? But either way, my story is better than BeefCake's, therefore you should believe me.
Alright, fair enough.
Consider me blown.
Okay.
Not only
You
that,
may have.
but, Your Honor, Mr. BeefCake doesn't have any witnesses. I, on the other hand, do. Okay? And that is from the Black Vault itself. That's right, Your Honor. The Navy has confirmed that this is not true. And whether you believe the Navy or the government, Your Honor, this has been proven not true by the Navy. I rest my case.
I see. Well,
I'd be a terrible lawyer, Your Honor. I'm so sorry.
That'd be a terrible
well, to be
defense
honest,
lawyer.
guys. I mean, truth be told, it does sound like an interesting story, but I deem it as a tall tale.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah. Just gotta
Due to,
say.
I'll give my viewpoint. Due to the lack of, maybe during the time it might have been a popular, story, might have had its own witnesses, thus advance, for its time, and it might have held its case then, but due to lack of witnesses, sightings, such like that, to be honest, I just deem it as a tall tale.
To be honest,
That's
I've been
my
searching it
viewpoint
up,
on
dude. And yeah, there's a heck of a lot more proof disproving it than there is proving it.
Yeah, even
Right.
Wikipedia itself, which is where I was grabbing my information from, has it has a whole
And see
section.
that's my only reasoning for that. If there was more, information based on it, as said, actual sightings, people that were there,
Mm-hmm.
even let's say like sailors that did make it off the ship, stuff like that, I'd have more credibility for it. But with the information that we have, I deem it tall tale.
Yeah, which is kind of funny that everyone died, so there was no survivors, right? Or at least everyone
Right.
was injured to the point where they couldn't really tell their tale. So
Right.
who knows? I mean, yeah, I don't believe it was real. But would it be cool if it was real? Amazing, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be really cool.
And I feel like if it was real, and even if it had killed that many people and destroyed the boat or put it to the state where it was inoperable, I feel like the United States would have kept doing experiments with that technology. I mean, if like how the story goes is that once they turn on that those electromagnets, and created that field, that quote unquote field, that they traveled back in time like 10 minutes, right, BeefCake?
Yeah, that's right. And they had apparently teleported.
Yeah.
Like by Florida or so.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And if this had happened, I feel like the United States would be a lot more interested in this technology if it was real. And I feel like they would.
Slap my ass and call me Speedy. That's a fast shit.
It's a very fast ship. And yeah, I mean, the U.S. government would have loved that, right? They would have put it onto something else instead of ships. Imagine having the power to time travel. Like, I think the government would love to capitalize on that.
How do you know they haven't?
Oh, Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. I don't know, man. To be honest, I want to believe it. I really do.
Me too.
But I mean, just like the sheer amount of evidence proving that it's not real, I kind of rest my case.
It is pretty cool though. It's a good story. Tell this to your kids, and making believe in conspiracy theories.
It's up to you whether or not you want to leave the people being fused to the ship in or not. I recommend you do it, just so they recognize the danger.
Oh yeah, the kids will love it. What are you talking about?
Yeah, actually,
They'll love that stuff. They eat that stuff up.
yeah. Actually, you're right. Right. Totally makes sense. Kids would love. Totally don't have nightmares about it.
So yeah. All right. Anything else, guys, that you guys have, or any other comments, topics, anything?
BeefCake says, get yourself some lasagna. And take care of yourself.
All right. Thank you for those inspirational words, Daea. Awesome. Yeah.
Such a wonderful way with words.
All right. Well, that was a very interesting one. Philadelphia experiment, real or not? Let us know in the comments. And let us know if you guys would cryo freeze yourselves. As with every episode, let us know what you want us talking about. And just any general feedback you want to give us in the comment section down below, or on our social media pages. All the links are down in the description. Yeah, and you can listen to us on Spotify as well, YouTube, the actual ASipOfCoco website on Podbean. My name is Tick.
My name is Daea.
My name's BeefCake.
Thanks everyone for listening. Everyone have a good morning, evening, day, breakfast, whatever. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.